Hi everyone, welcome back to the Politico Speakeasy. We are going to keep on moving with our excellent programming for today. So to introduce our next guest, please help me welcome my colleague, our healthcare reporter, Claudia Chiappa, and our guest to the stage. Round of applause, please.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Claudia Chiappa, I'm a health reporter at Politico, and I'm joined on stage by Birgit, Director General of the Estonian Health Board, which oversees preparedness for crisis, but also public health in Estonia. We're going to talk about how to protect our health data, how to coordinate and strengthen civil protection, and prepare health systems for war. So thank you, Birgit, for being here with us today. I would like to kick things off by talking a little bit about where Estonia is today in terms of preparedness. So obviously, Estonia has a very unique situation in Europe. It's a small country, smaller market. It's on the border with Russia, and it has a very advanced digital also health system. So you're facing a bit multiple threats at once. How does a country like Estonia, how do you prepare, how do you coordinate internally your infrastructure, your workforce, so that you're ready to potentially face multiple threats, whether it's cyber threats, wartime threats, and better also than the classics, pandemics, infectious diseases, and environmental health, long list.
Yeah, it's a long list. It's great to be here. Great to have those discussions. I would start answering the question, the things we did before COVID, because a lot of countries think that the preparedness issue rose from the COVID times, post-COVID times, and is especially stressed because of the second wave of Ukrainian war with Russia, or Russian war with Ukraine. What we have done quite long time now is to upskill our workforce, the knowledge of our doctors and nurses. For many decades, we have collaborated with military side, War and Catastrophe Medicine Center. So we have been the ones who actually educate in medical incidents, mass medical incidents. And we have done it so successfully that we actually can train the certified courses now in Estonian. So those are the MIMS, HMIMS, the ones who are involved in the sector know very well the value of those courses. So yes, we have trained thousands of nurses, doctors, and that has been a good investment, especially in a phase we are at the moment. The second thing is stockpiling, so the resources that you need in everyday life, but the resources you need in times of defense situations. Those are not the same, so you have to stockpile using different kind of approaches. It's a very expensive investment. Our innovation and secret behind it is that we keep it rotating. We stockpile for the usage for everyday life. So rotation is sort of like, it's not an environmental approach, but it's to use it, not to just waste it. And the second thing is about the workforce itself. We have secured our workforce by naming it the part of the national defense. All the healthcare sector workers can be in a position of a national defense position, in a sense. If the doctor or a nurse wants to go to serve the defense sector, the military, in the times of crisis, they can go, but we make sure that they stick with the profession. So it's a very good thing, a very honorable thing to participate in air defense, but medical people are needed for their skills and competences. So we make sure that we have the people, and we make sure that we protect them, and of course we make sure that they don't flee if the crises are building up. About the security of data, that's a good question, because we always think that if you make it available, then it's very attackable. It depends on your architecture. If, for example, if you build an enormous sort of information system and fill all the information in the same sort of place, like all the eggs in the same basket, then it's very vulnerable. But what we have done for 30 years now is that every information system is its own unique collection. We only can ask as a state the information from you, for example, once, and what is going on between it, what we don't see is that the information systems, they interact. We call it X-ray road. It's a high-speed road. And for example, for the sake of health issues, I have to go to the registry of population, ask your official data, and it means that what we have is like a big honeycomb or big Lego house. Each information system is one brick or one comb. If you bring it down one brick, the house will stay, and that's the logic. So you can attack one piece and maybe succeed. So far, no one hasn't. But yeah, the house will remain. So that's the mindset behind it.
Let's stay really quick on health data, because I think it's really interesting. Europe as a whole is trying to get all the countries pretty much where Estonia is, right? But you still have a lot of countries that are still transitioning from paper records to digital records. And when they start with this process, one of the concerns is about attacks, but also about privacy and about how to build trust with people. And Estonia is also done really well in this sense too, where people, from my understanding, most of them have opted into having their digital health records online. What's your advice for that when Europe is trying to get countries to digitalize their health systems? How do you curb those concerns in terms of trust and privacy?
First of all, you have to educate the users. You have to explain what is the benefit of having the data online or digital data, what you can get out of it. For example, the story we always tell is that if an accident happens, for example, an ambulance takes you to the emergency room, your data is already there, and they know that you're coming. They can prepare. They can use this time to prepare that you, with your specialties, with your, demands on medicine or resistances, you will be there, and they can prepare, and you will get the better treatment. So that is one takeoff. Also, you have to have a sort of a probability or opportunity to say no. Some data is definitely needed about you. For example, your blood type, what kind of medicines you are having, and things like that. But some data is nice to have. And for this data, the citizen has rights to actually close it to some certain specialist or some certain institutions. So this should be there. So not everything should be made public. And of course, the access to data, it has to be tracked, logged, and for example, if someone sees my data, I have a right to go and ask why. Why did you do that? So
it's a very transparent system, education,
exactly.
And getting people the option also
Yes.
to opt out always. Going back now, you mentioned earlier a couple of things when we were talking about health security and how to prepare. You mentioned workforce and you mentioned stockpiling. We were on a panel yesterday together also talking about supply chains resilience, and stockpiling does come up because in Europe, obviously, you have countries with different stockpiling needs and wants. Can you tell me more? You said Estonia invests a lot in this, in both having peacetime stockpile, but then wartime ready stockpiles. What kind of things are needed? And what kind of investments do you guys put into it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have on a European level, we have an agreement on medical countermeasures, and there's a long list of medicines, medical devices, technical equipment, what is needed for the crisis. For our point of view, the list is too long because it's a stockpile. We say it's a stockpile for well-being, not for crisis. But of course, there are two aspects. To continue your everyday service as a healthcare provider demands different stockpiling setups. If you are preparing, for example, for war, then definitely your priority is in trauma and casualties. You will have a priority on antidotes, you will have a priority on painkillers and things like that. So we focus on wartime, crisis time stockpiling, because everyday life is guaranteed by the healthcare providers. They have to have a stockpile for a couple of months anyway. But centrally, as a state, we focus on critical war-related stockpiling together with military sector. Yeah.
Do you think is Europe organized enough when it comes to stockpiling?
It's a good question. I think it's we see that there are very good sort of initiatives coming from COVID time, that we don't have to buy out vaccines. We can have an agreement as a union with producers. We can have research actually for new medicines. But I think the difference comes from the fact that the level of threat that the societies feel are completely different. It's a little bit different from Estonia to Czechia or Slovakia, but if you go more south, the threats they are afraid of are different. So it comes from there. So yeah.
It's harder to get Germany to fear.
Harder to get an
Spain
agreement
Russia.
on that this is important, but it's also important to let the regions, like Baltic region or Central Eastern European region with Nordics, to do their own job, because the threat is real. And we have to act accordingly, so not underestimating the whole 27. So
yeah. The power also of regional stockpiling and what that can do. Yeah. Going back to workforce now, so obviously that's another big piece of the puzzle, that you need to have enough workforce and you need to have it prepared to transition. And you've talked about, like, that's very interesting, about giving them the opportunity to enter the military, but to continue to do their profession. How is, first of all, like, Estonia's workforce in terms of retention and numbers? Because obviously being a smaller country, is that a problem? Do you have enough workforce? And what are some of the ways that you train them to be ready to transition to wartime profession?
I think we all lack workforce in health sector. We lack doctors, we lack nurses, we lack caretakers. But this is the resource we have, so we work on that. The aim is not to lose anyone. So if you have to know your military position in times of war, you have to know what you do. And then we have agreed with the state that we don't touch the healthcare sector. The most important task is to keep the hospitals running, keep the emergency care running, and keep the physicians, primary care, running. And thus, you don't only need nurses and doctors, you need cooks, you need cleaners, you need services, you need gasoline, you need water, you need everything. So we secure the institution as such, and they could have their own workforce who's now there and will be there on wartime. Of course, it's a good question where we will get extra people, but this is another area where we work together with NGOs, international NGOs.
And do you practice war scenarios? I know HERA, for example, has also been kind of increasingly doing some of these.
Yeah, we do. As an agency, we had 17 exercises last year, so it's more than one per month. We are running into the NATO Vigorous Warrior 2026 exercise. It's the NATO medical exercise, which happens every 5 years. This June, it's in Estonia, so it's a real wartime exercise, hands-on, boots on ground, different equipments, ships, things like tent hospitals all are being built. And at the moment we are exercising for 6 weeks, that there will be an action before the midsummers in Estonia. And we are a week from the war at the moment, so we are constantly exercising back home. So I was glad that I was allowed to come here and omit the exercise for a couple of days. But
okay, so it's going on right now.
It's going on right now. So the Sweden joined this week as well. So it's international.
What have you learned from this? Also from the 17 from last year, like have you identified like maybe the biggest weakness or like where the missing chain links are?
The biggest weakness is to know and to count what other countries are doing. If we see the Ukrainian situation, there are lots of countries, NGOs helping, but the start was very, very rough because it needs a coordination and it needs a special sort of focus. Estonia is very small, so our main question is where do you evacuate? The whole Estonia is a missile target. It's only 300 kilometers. 300 kilometers, it's nothing compared to the size of Ukraine. So we don't have back office, as to say. We have to think about it. So, but when the patients start to move, where, how fast it is, how fast is the help coming in? We know we have to survive for a couple of weeks our own, but still. So it's those kind of connections and needs are being trained constantly.
So also filling the gap of like where to go then from there, what is everybody else doing, and what's the EU's role in all of this? Is there anything that they could do more of to help countries that are smaller like Estonia?
I think the weakest link is the evacuation speed. So if what kind of sort of channels you use, if the air is closed, if the land is closed, you probably know the Suwalki corridor. If this is closed, we can't drive anywhere. You can go to Latvia, but probably the situation will be the same there. So you have waterway, you have airways, and you need to secure them. You need to have something open, and this is the biggest question. Of course, it's not the solution from the civilian side, it's the solution from defense side and NATO side, but what it stresses is actually we do depend on each other and we have to cooperate more from military to civilian and vice versa.
Yeah, it stresses more than need to bridge, kind of not just leave healthcare as its own separate sector. Is there, I understand Estonia does that quite a lot. You work with the military sector and combine the two. Do you think it's been done enough at the EU level?
No. Sometimes the civilian side asks from us that, you know our military context, can you introduce us? It's an honor, but I shouldn't be in this position. Yes, we are a very small country. We are very sort of like, on a structure-wise, very flat country. We know the positions, medical positions, surgeons general. I mean, we cooperate on a daily basis, but the cooperation in each and every country should be definitely better. You should know where you call. Yeah? You should have numbers.
Do you think there is a reticence there to bridge this gap and mix the two, or to have more international, more interagency coordination?
There is quite a good coordination on EU level with DG Hera, Sante cooperating with COMETS on a NATO side. We have meetings, so we talk about things and we talk about weaknesses, for example, like blood banks, things like that. So those are common weaknesses we have to address and face. And also we have to prepare for the military demands as well, military medical side. So this is very important. Also, I think there are threats that can't be dealt alone for a country, like CBRN, accidents. No country should be and won't be able to do it alone. And there are some certain casualties that no country can cure themselves. For example, burn victims. We have seen some incidents in Romania or countries that produced quite a lot of burn victims. You immediately have to distribute them into different hospitals in Europe, and those mechanisms that the Commission has, those are very efficient in there, that you can secure that you will have a fast transport, you have funds, and people can get treatment.
Great. I think that was pretty much all the time that we had today. But thank you so much for the discussion. I think it's been very interesting. So thank you all also for watching here and online. We have now our lunch break. So get some lunch, have a short break, and we'll be back here at 2:30. Thanks so much. Thank you.